Imagine a sound so loud it travels 1/12 of the way around the entire planet. Not a bomb, not a man-made explosion, but the raw, untamed fury of the Earth itself. This is the story of Krakatoa, a small volcanic island in Indonesia that in 1883 unleashed one of the most catastrophic natural disasters in recorded history. For over 2 centuries, Krakatoa had been quiet, a picturesque island that gave no hint of the violence brewing beneath. But in May of 1883, the giant began to stir. Minor steam eruptions started, like a pot of water beginning to simmer. Locals were intrigued. Some even sailed out for a closer look, completely unaware they were witnessing the prelude to Armageddon. Over the next few months, the activity intensified. Plumes of ash rose higher and higher into the sky, and tremors shook the surrounding islands. The simmer was turning into a rolling boil. Then, on August 26, the mountain entered its final, cataclysmic phase. A series of 4 colossal explosions ripped the island apart. The third blast, occurring on the morning of August 27th, was the most powerful. It was the loudest sound ever recorded in history. It was heard clearly over 3,000 miles away in Perth, Australia, and on the island of Rodrigues in the Indian Ocean, where it was mistaken for cannon fire from a distant ship. Think about that for a second. It's like someone in New York City hearing a sound from Los Angeles. Barometers around the world registered the shockwave multiple times as it circled the globe, but the sound was only the beginning of the horror. The collapse of the volcano's magma chamber into the sea triggered a series of gigantic tsunamis. These weren't just big waves. They were mountains of water, some reaching heights of up to 40 meters, or 130 feet. That's taller than a 10-story building. These monstrous waves radiated outwards at hundreds of miles per hour, slamming into the coastlines of Java and Sumatra with unimaginable force. The devastation was absolute. Throughout entire coastal towns and villages, 165 of them were simply wiped off the map, erased as if they had never existed. Buildings, roads, forests all were obliterated. The official death toll was recorded as 36,417 people, but the true number is likely much higher. Most victims perished within hours, swallowed by the sea or struck by the debris carried in the waves. Eyewitness accounts speak of scenes straight out of a nightmare. Ships tossed miles inland. Coral blocks the size of houses hurled onto the shore. In a terrifying darkness that enveloped the region as ash blotted out the sun, one Dutch warship, the Biru, was anchored nearby. The tsunami picked it up and carried it nearly 2 miles inland, depositing it in a forest 30 feet above sea level. The entire crew was lost. The eruption didn't just destroy the island of Krakatoa, literally annihilated it. When the dust and steam finally settled, 2/3 of the island was gone, sunk beneath the waves. The force of the final explosion was estimated to be 13,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb that devastated Hiroshima. It ejected a staggering volume of rock, ash, and gas into the atmosphere, nearly 11 cubic miles of material. That is enough to cover the entire island of Manhattan in a layer of rock and ash over 400 feet deep. And the impact of Krakatoa wasn't just local, it was global. The fine ash and sulfur dioxide gas were blasted high into the stratosphere, up to 50 miles above the Earth's surface. Up there, high-altitude winds caught this volcanic veil and spread it around the entire planet within weeks. This aerosol cloud acted like a massive sunshade, reflecting sunlight back into space. The result? Global temperatures dropped by an average of about 0.5 degrees Celsius, and this cooling effect lasted for several years. Winters became harsher, and weather patterns were disrupted worldwide. This atmospheric dust also created a spectacular, if eerie, side effect. For years following the eruption, people all over the world witnessed intensely colored sunsets and sunrises. The sky would light up with brilliant shades of red, orange, and purple, far more vivid than anything seen before. In the United States, fire engines were reportedly called out in several cities because people thought the blood red skies meant a massive fire was burning just over the horizon. The famous painting The Scream by Edvard Munch, with its fiery swirling sky, is thought by many art historians to have been inspired by the Krakatoa sunsets he witnessed in Norway. The event literally painted the sky. Krakatoa was a turning point for science. It was the first time a volcanic eruption was studied on a global scale. Telegraph networks, a relatively new technology at the time, allowed for the rapid collection of data from around the world. Scientists were able to track the atmospheric shockwave and the spread of the dust cloud, proving for the first time that a single event in one part of the world could have a measurable and dramatic impact on the entire planet's climate. It was a profound lesson in global interconnectedness and the immense power of natural forces. But the story of Krakatoa doesn't end in 1883. In 1927, it's about 40 years after the catastrophic eruption, fishermen noticed steam and debris rising from the water in the caldera left behind by the old mountain. The giant was not dead. A new volcanic cone began to grow from the seabed. It breached the surface a year later and was aptly named Anak Krakatau, which means child of Krakatau in Indonesian. Anak Krakatau has been growing ever since, a restless and active successor to its destructive parent. It erupts periodically, a constant reminder of the volcanic fire that still rages beneath.